Expect today. Now, we start with the People Daily here, which is our own publication here at Media Max Limited. And on the front page of the People Daily, we have inside Ruto plan to crush demonstration. Security as president resorts to new tactics to confront young people, emboldened by court order barring police from using bullets. Now, that is a story on page 4 of the People Daily, and I just want to take a look at that and tell you exactly what that says. Now, a deadly clash between protesters and security officers is expected today after both sides maintained hardline stances as at last evening. Now, while the president, that is William Ruto, administration has maintained the youth are being funded to replace democracy with anarchy, Gen Zs maintain the main participators in this protest have on their part said they are only pushing for accountability in the country. Now, that is a story on page 4 of the People Daily. Also on the front page of this particular newspaper is Wetangula says all cabinet nominees will be vetted. Of course, Parliament resumes sittings today after close to 3 weeks of recess. And this is a question that he was asked on whether the nominated cabinet secretaries who were previously in the past cabinet will be taken through the vetting process. And he said acid test for Parliament has, as interviews, recycled former CSS amidst protest by Gen Z against their return. Now, also, when people are taking to the street today, this is one of the things that they've mentioned. They are quite against. Another top story here on the People Daily. We have Democrats figure next move with Kamala Harris. Of course, after that is the President of the United States, Joe Biden, dropped out of the race and said he was not going to seek a re-election into the White House. And of course, with that, he did nominate Kamala Harris, who is the Vice President, to be able to carry out, to go all the way to the presidency as far as this particular nomination is concerned. And of course, let me just indulge Wanjiku. Wanjiku, you're seeing the United States putting a woman when it comes to matters leadership, and nominated by one of the major parties in the United States. When you say this as a lady in this particular country and somebody who is very passionate about matters leadership, what do you make of it?
I think the place setting, the place of women in leadership, and solidifying and catalyzing movements all over that women have in fronting and amplifying why women are needed in places of positions of power. We saw the journey of, maybe some of us aren't born, but we saw the journey of Hillary Clinton. And this time round, we won't allow what happened then to happen today. Okay. So for us, we've already started public marshalling of support for Kamala Harris as she goes for presidency. And I think we wish her all the best. Okay. And if she wins, then that means that Kenya has to take up the pace as well. Okay. And sometime we also have a woman now as president. We are close to that. You believe we are close to that as a country? We have a long way to go. Yeah, we are definitely not where we were. The counties, even today, 6 counties in Kenya that haven't elected women in 2022. So we have a long way to go, but it's not that it's not doable. It's doable with consistent advocacy of women in leadership, and especially bringing more in male champions that de-escalate the conversation at community levels why women are important and pertinent for leadership. Okay. First of all, you will see with women's leadership, less war is involved. It's no longer about ego, it's about empathy and how do we move forward with less chaos and war. Okay. Yeah. You seem to be accusing men of being very chaotic, but it'll be great. Sosion, you see, we'll be getting into the local news in a bit, but Democrats figure next move with Kamala Harris, and this is the thing. Biden just dropped out of the race.
We followed the American politics very, very closely, and you see the comeback of Trump also was quite epic, and he seemed to have been getting a lot of thrust against Joe Biden, but the sudden withdrawal of Joe Biden and endorsing the Kamala Harris. And of course, Kamala Harris has received a lot of endorsement from even potential vice presidents. And Kamala Harris seems to be the real person to watch globally. And she seems to be so grounded in terms of capacity, in terms of knowledge, in terms of the aspirations of the Americans. And she's extremely clear-minded. I've been listening to her speeches the whole night, and very keen to know really what she offers the Americans. And I can see the American teachers and unions rallying behind Kamala Harris, and she's so focused in strengthening the social services, which are also very key to workers and in the U.S. and generally the American policies and political tradition. She seems to be so grounded, and she's offering a lot of confidence and hope to Americans. So now we expect the tides to change, particularly after Democratic National Convention on 19, when she's endorsed and when the Democrats convene. So
you believe she's the right pick?
No, she's one of the best.
She's one of the best.
She's definitely one of the best, and most experienced in public service, having served even as a prosecutor and having served as a senator, and being the vice president that she has been, and that she really understands the policies of the current government led by Joe Biden. So I think she's the best. And I was in the U.S. For the two conventions of teachers, the American Federation of Teachers and the National Education Association, who both strongly supported Hillary Clinton in 2016. And Hillary Clinton put up a very, very vicious, strong fight. And she won on the popular vote, but lost on the electoral college. But you see the Democrats have been faltering with the candidature of Biden for the last couple of months. But now with the emergence of Kamala Harris, who seems now to be performing, she's likely to perform better than Hillary Clinton. So Donald Trump and the Republicans should go back to the drawing board.
They don't seem to be scared, though, because looking at the polls, they say she's still trailing behind when it comes to Donald Trump. And also, we are just close to, a few months to elections. Do they stand a chance in time when it comes to putting up a spirited
in America,
campaign?
in an open democracy like America, where issues matter and the public mobilize resources to support their candidate and to drive their agenda, did you see the $1 million that were raised within 5 hours after she was endorsed?
Right now we are talking
close to $100 million.
81
that's an indicator of the enthusiasm that the Americans will have. And you see, Americans, ordinary voters, are neither Democrats nor Republicans. They simply follow policies, and they can shift and vote either way, because they're voting the President of the United States of America. So really, it is what the character and the person of the candidate most the party and not anything else, and not even gender. So we might see the U.S. elect a president for the first time in its political history. And this is going to be the second most serious presidential candidate as a woman after Hillary Clinton.
Okay. All right, we'll be, following that closely, just see how.
You have asked about Kenya. When will?
Yeah, I was asking about
Kenya. Is now ripe. Kenya is ripe. Kenya is ripe, and President William Ruto the other day said, and going into the future, even the United Democratic Alliance, if the presidential candidate is a man, then the deputy will be a woman. If the presidential candidate will be a woman, the deputy will be a man. These are real gender issues we must embrace as a country. We must embrace as a country. There must be total gender equity. But the other gender will not be invited to come to the table. They must come to the table and force themselves on the table and be on the table and be part of the decisions and even declare interest. Who has stopped women from vying for president? Tell us, prepare for 2027, 2032.
It's, you know, it goes back to campaign financing. Campaign financing, you know, in Africa, elections are very, very expensive. And for a long period of time, because of inequalities, women haven't been able to access money as much as men do. Looking at this country, how many political parties are headed by men or owned by men? One political, we only have in Kenya, among the political parties run by women. But still look at Honorable Mother Karua, there are places she's still not able to access. And what we are saying, and we saw the president with UDA really marshalling and awarding party candidate tickets to women and young people. So going to 2027, so that we can also continue with empowering women in leadership, also award party tickets to women who are merited. On the ground that you can see, honestly, they have the public confidence and the popularity as well, and that their leadership skills are exemplary because of how nominations are. And that's why we speak about feminizing political spaces. Because of seeing how nominations are really unjust and unfair, let's award women political tickets. And that because women, just even like myself, we were shortchanged during the nomination process. And you know, in Kenya, when you have a party ticket, you already have 30% of votes. So you after nomination, it's now looking for the 70%. So
parties do play a very critical role when it comes to
Kenya, actually,
you know, giving women a chance for in this political space.
Yeah, so we would like to see parties, political parties, awarding women tickets, party tickets come 27.
All right, now that is on the international front, and what lessons we can learn from that. I want us to get back home, and what we are seeing today on the People Daily. This is inside Ruto's plan to crush demonstrations. Let me pick your mind, Honorable Session. This is the thing. Demos have been going on for quite a while. The president the other day came out and said, of course, I've come to your space. I came down to listen to you, but still today we're still seeing people taking to the streets. What do you make of this, first of all?
First, I must declare that I'm one of the greatest organizers of demonstrations in this country, having done it so perfectly well, but peacefully, without losing a life. Among my demonstrators who are teachers all over the country, without destroying property and all that. So what we are witnessing here in Kenya, well, the intentions were demonstration, but what we are having now are no longer demonstration. These are violent activities bordering on destruction of property and threat to lives of others. And the president has made himself very clear about it, that now this must stop. And the security agencies have done the same. And in this country, anything called demonstrations and riots are guided by law, what we call the Public Order Act. That is what the police use. And many Kenyans are not informed about it. And the courts have actually adopted and agreed that the Public Order Act is very constitutional. A police officer can issue a proclamation to disperse even a gathering of 12 persons who are construed to be doing so illegally. And that being the case, let us also refer to our constitution. We've talked about picketing demonstration peaceably and unarmed is a provision of Article 37 of the Constitution. But there are limitations of the same under Article 24. Where your rights end, the rights of others begin. So demonstration does not mean you wake up every day in a scheduled manner like what we are witnessing to cause destruction. Demonstrations, good demonstrations, are organized, peaceful, unarmed. It is known. You move from what route to which route, and you present memoranda and petition. So the issues that the petition, the so-called justified grievances have been raised, and already is with the president. The president has acted on all of them. But now it looks like there's more than meets the eye. There have been other syndicates behind the youth. What the youth have raised in terms of governance, in terms of corruption, in terms of transparency, and in terms of the economy are genuine and square.
Right.
And that the president has embraced it very well and is proceeding with it. But then the other syndicates of political interest and of other interest who are persisting that they must continue every week, I don't think this is sensible. And you don't overdo something. The message is already home. So what is going on now are criminal activities, and these criminal activities must be brought to a stop. We can't allow disruption of property, disruption of life, and every other week. And we saw yesterday, the speaker gave the cost of the destruction of property in Parliament at 94 million shillings. And that 94 million shillings will be paid by Kenyans who are hardworking, who are not part of the destruction. We must draw a dichotomy between peaceful, civilized, orderly demonstrations and anarchy. So what we expect today is mere anarchy. They want to come and engage in running battles with the police, loot people's businesses. I don't think that is right. And therefore, the police will be entitled to use the Public Order Act and enforce law and order. And you know, the police are not using Bibles to enforce law and order.
Okay, now that has been one of the issues here, because the argument has always been that when you bring in the police and they start using force, that's when we actually start seeing, when it comes to running battles and destruction of property and all that. In the most instances, they say when we start, we are always peaceful until the police come in. Let me come to you. Honorable Session says the message was home. There's the dissolution of cabinet, but still we see a reappointment of 6 members from the previous cabinet into what will be the new cabinet. Was the message really home?
I will begin by saying that I have to also, I'm looking at both ends. Young people declare that they want fresh faces, they want to see more inclusion, they want to see more representation, because the former cabinet was really of a different generation, a generation that maybe was not able to really perceive and understand young people's concerns. But then again, we said, young people said we want to see a new cabinet, so the expectation was fully new faces, but that's not what happened. Maybe the president is looking at institutional memory. See, governance also has infrastructures that you don't get in a minute. I've been around government agencies and institutions, and honestly, it's quite hectic to understand how it works, and you need a lot of guidance. And maybe this goes back to my disappointment in the former Cabinet Secretary of Public Service, Moses Kuria. He had declared that he's going to face government because it had a lot of older majority in government. So his idea was to phase out the older population and income young people, whom they are going to sort of, train how government works, and then we are able to take up and run government. Because the reason why young people don't feel that they are part of Kenya is because they're not included in ministries and state parastatals and and institutions that serve that offer public service. As a young person, what would have been the best way to go about it, especially when it comes to issues reconstituting the cabinet? From where is it? I had hoped to see fresher faces, younger fresher faces. I was okay in seeing some older, and maybe I expected recycling, because I know institutional memory is so important. So I expected some recycling, but I also hoped to see more young people and maybe also technocrats, because political class, when they occupy such spaces, it's more about their political mileage instead of service. So I had hoped to see that as well. Maybe there's the opportunity of the remaining 11 that are yet to come, but we would like to see, honestly, younger faces this time round. I'm happy to say that we can see two that's taking shape. So as women, we are okay, but we are not seeing young women. Okay. It's just senior women. So also young women are very pertinent to that place.
All right. And that's the thing. I want to bring in Honorable Beatrice Elachi. Thank you so much for making time for this conversation here on K24 this morning. Mahesh, let me start with you because we are looking at the dailies today, and you are inside Ruto's plan to crush the demos because this is the People's Dailies and it's on the front page of the People's Dailies. The protests have been going on for a minute now. It's been close to 3 weeks, I believe, and almost getting to a month. And today we are still pushing with it, despite and the president has been, talking tough about it and saying we are not going to allow this. And what I want to ask you is the justification behind the protest. From where you sit as a legislator, and what you see happening on screen every day, what do you make of that, and what do you make of today's events?
Well, first of all, I would say, okay, fine. I know it's not something that would say just happened. It is something all of us Kenyans have contributed to for many years, and so it's a burden we have to carry. Then we need to ask ourselves, how do we carry this burden? How do we change? We've always come to these shows for many years. What do we talk about? We always talk about our attitude on how we look at things, on our values, how we lost our complete values in terms of this is public resources. Every Kenyan is contributing to it. How do you make Kenya better for all Kenyans? And how do you ensure the 3 basic needs are met without Kenyans really struggling, sleeping hungry, and all that? But having said that, then now we come and we get to this. Fine. And our young leaders say, give us an ultimatum. First, finance bill, there are issues, stop it, we get to there. So we have come. They started clearly with an agenda, peacefully. Now today I just want to say this. I am hoping politicians didn't enter into that agenda, because that's where they missed it. Why? We feared now they are coming very fast. We decided to bring in our politics, how we normally play it. What do we normally do? We use the same young people. Now they become more rogue, and they become violent. They become, we call them old names, manner of names, but we have sent them. And you'll find even some of us have paid, God forbid, if anyone paid for anyone to come on the street now to become a goon, to beat others, that is how we lost it. And that's what mistake all of us did again. So can we pick up that baggage we did ourselves and clear the space? And now, because they had told us, finance bill, we want cabinet to go home. Cabinet has gone home, isn't it? So then, they agreed that they will give time to see. The mistake also, the advisors and handlers of the president, is that when we are moving 5 steps ahead, they return us 100 steps behind. Because you just do the mistakes that we were saying, stop this, stop the abductions, stop the killings. If you have young people, instead of killing them, take them to court. But what do? We continue having parents, they are still looking for their young ones. So the handlers, the advice, my prayer was just one. The president would have just sent everyone out of that state house and remain himself for a while. Yes, you sometimes reflect. What has just happened to my country? What has just hit the country? You reflect, by the way. Even you at home, when you have a sergeant of your young people, they've decided now to come. What do you do as a parent? You reach a point and you say, now it's not, we are not going to fight here. Everyone get out of my house.
All right.
And then you reflect. So he needs to reflect. And then now when you come with the strategy, even the ones you feel are your buddies will understand the strategy has changed. Okay.
Now, you mentioned something here, and I want to take a break, but let me ask you that before I do. In terms of taking, we make 1 step and 5 back.
Yes.
And before you came in, Honorable Session had said the message was home already with what has started.
Yes.
But with that particular, when you say we make one step forward and 5 backward, then that means, are we really getting it? Is the government really getting the message that's supposed to, the people, the young people are trying to send?
You see, that's what I've always said. Who is the government? You see, that's why sometimes when you are a leader, a president, you find yourself in a very awkward situation because you don't understand even the government itself. Because there are people who they are in the system, they run the system for you. And those are the ones sometimes who do very wrong mistakes. So you have to carry the burden. You must, the buck stops with you. Okay. Kenyans will understand that there are some guys who are messing up. No. But if you continue following now what your handlers are doing, and you agree with it, then Kenyans will realize, okay, it is you then. Okay. So those are some of, by the way, the president has to do very hard decisions that are very unpopular if we want to bring this Kenya where it has to go. All right. Very unpopular. It does not mean we don't have problems in Uganda, we don't have problems in Tanzania. We do, very serious ones. We don't have problems in Rwanda even when they are finished. We do, very serious ones. But each of them, they have a way that they handle, and they do. That's what we are waiting our president to do. Okay. And this morning, I'll just tell him, we cannot have our young people, you can't engage with them the way we are doing, because they are very ahead and they are using a different way of doing things. That is one thing we have refused to accept as parents. We want to use the old ways. How do you tell me today in the morning that you have my aerial of my airport? All sides is being seen the whole world. Who will even land here? Right. And then you want to use the old technology now, our old systems on how to deal with that? No, 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 no. So we are getting it wrong when it comes to dealing with the issue at hand at the moment, right? Yes. We have to change, and that's why I'm saying you reflect back and you ask yourself, who are these young ones? Can I have a few, first of all, to deal with technology versus technology? Okay. Yeah. On that point, we do want to take a break here. On New Dawn, continue engaging us on our socials. Satamoy brand that is on X at K24 TV. Tell us exactly what you think about our conversation this particular morning, of course, with the Occupy JKIA hashtag already taking center stage. And also today, Parliament resumes its sittings. We'll be getting into the details of that when we come back from this particular break. My guests in studio, of course, are Honorable Beatrice Elachi, a Member of Parliament for Dagoretti, Honorable Session, and also Wanjiku Thiga. Thank you so much for making time. Yes, we come from this particular break. We continue our conversation.